Greetings in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. How's everyone doing? I'm doing alright. I'm stuck here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which actually isn't a bad place to be stuck. I was kind of hoping to get a load out of here and head on down to Oklahoma, but there ain't too many loads going from here to Oklahoma. Sasha wanted me in the video. She's been very clingy lately. Normally I do videos that involve truck driving, but today's going to be a little bit different. And the reason I'm doing video today is because I've been seeing a post going around amongst my friends. One of them copy paste type posts, which I never copy and paste them to share them. But I want to talk about this one because it deals with addiction. So, I mean, it's something that truck drivers and everyone deal with. So I wanted to talk about the post. I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to break it down because it does contain some stuff that's truthful, but some stuff that's kind of misleading. A lot of people don't understand addiction in general and what it really is. Sasha. Sorry. But first, let me talk to you about self-defense. Self-defense is a right, and we all should have a means to defend ourselves. Because let's face it, if you encounter somebody who wants to do bad towards you, you are your first responder. No one's going to come and save the day unless the attack takes place where there is somebody around to protect you. But most of the time, attacks are when there's no one around, or the people who are around can't protect you. Guns are kind of a hard thing to have. In fact, I had this discussion with some people on Facebook before about, why I don't carry a gun. Especially as a truck driver. Gun laws are very, very difficult. They vary per state, and some states, you may think you're protecting yourself, but you end up using it and you end up in trouble. So, me personally, I highly recommend a taser. A taser is legal in most states. And the laws governing tasers is a lot easier to follow when it comes to defending yourself with a taser. It's non-lethal, and you can fire it from a distance. If you're interested, and also truck drivers, it's a lot easier to carry a taser with you. Now, before you go buy the taser, if you're a truck driver, check with your company first. Some companies do make it to where their drivers are not allowed to have a taser. Also, make sure that you do check the laws in each state, because while most states do allow tasers for you to carry them, they have a specific way you can carry them, and all that other stuff. Also, make sure you do follow the company, and any company that you're going into, like stores and stuff, make sure you follow their policies too. But if you're interested, check out the link in the description, and you'll get 10% off your purchase if you use that link. Alright, so a post I've been seeing a lot of, that my friends have been copying and pasting on their wall, is dealing with alcohol and drug addiction. I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to break it down to, what is true and what is not true and what shouldn't be true. Here's what it says. Everybody has their own opinion on alcohol and drug addiction. Yeah, everybody does. But until you've been there, your opinion means nothing. False. Okay? And the reason I say false is because really what it's about is not if you've been addicted to drugs and alcohol, is have you ever been addicted to anything? Because all addictions are basically the same. It's just the withdrawals are maybe different and stuff like that. And here's another thing. The majority, if not everyone, is addicted to something. It's just some addictions are socially acceptable, whereas others are not. But I will tell you, all addictions are bad, no matter what. I don't care what kind of addiction you have, it is bad. Okay? And I'll go into the types of addictions, and, you know, how do you know you have an addiction? Chances are you do have an addiction, and I'll challenge you. But if you've ever recognized that you've been addicted to something, then yeah, you can speak about other addictions, because they all are the same. I mean, you're trying to get over something, you know it's killing you, or you know it's disrupting your life. And I'll also talk about my own addiction, because I have an addiction. You don't control addiction, it controls you. At first it does control you, I admit that, but there is a way, and everyone can overcome an addiction. Okay? You can get control over your addiction. You can. There is hope, but it's a very difficult process, and you can't do it alone. You can't. You need help, you need friends, you need people to hold you accountable. And those friends have to be tough. They can't be, oh, you have a disease. Right? That's another thing I'm going to talk about. Addictions are not diseases. And by my saying that, and I'm please hear me out, okay? Because a lot of times I say that, people think I'm downplaying addiction and stuff. No, addiction is tough. And actually, because it's not a disease or a disorder, it makes it tougher. It really does. Diseases and disorders are actually a lot easier to overcome than addictions. And that's because addiction is a human flaw. we all have it. It's part of human nature. And overcoming human nature is difficult. There are some fortunate ones who have beat it, but don't think because they're still alive that life is great. That's partially true. I'm actually going to say not some. There are a lot of people who beat it. There really are. And see, this kind of starting out, kind of making it sound like if you have an addiction, especially with drugs and alcohol, that it's over with, you know, and it's not. There are a lot of people who overcome it, and there are a lot of, actually, drugs and alcohol, there are a lot of support. The addiction I had, there ain't so much support, because the addiction I had is more socially acceptable. And that's where it becomes more difficult, because trying to find help and support is a lot harder. And the good news with that drug and alcohol is there is a lot of help out there, including government help, which makes it even more easy. And I didn't have government help to help me. But then there's a lot of help out there for people with drugs and alcohol. The problem is within us. And this is what makes it very difficult. Okay? And even though you've overcome it, life is not great. Because it is. Okay? I still struggle with my addiction. It's very, very difficult. And it's always with me. It always is. And part of that problem, I think, is because we've done it for so long that now not only are you dealing with withdrawals and stuff, you're dealing with the psychological issue. You're craving it, you know. Sadly, it's something you have to deal with all the time. But the good news is, once you've overcome it, okay? Once you've overcome it, that it is easier, okay? It is easier to stay away from that thing you're addicted to. They fight every day, yes. All day to stay sober and clean. That goes with any addiction. You do struggle. I mean, because whenever you're around that item, it's very hard to not go back. It's a constant battle from the time they open their eyes until they close them. Not after you've been clean for long enough. Then it's a matter of just trying to stay away from it, because it is tempting, even when you stay clean for so long, to go back to it, until you've completely changed your lifestyle to where now you see your life is a lot better and things are better. One of the things I think is to replace that joy that you've had, and I'll talk about that too. And it never goes away. Yeah, the temptation does stay. It is easy to get tempted again. Most are good people who made a bad choice. Yes, actually, majority of them are good people. Just because you have an addiction doesn't make you a bad person. And that's something I'm going to talk about too, because there are people who do criticize those that have an addiction. Battling an addiction is a beast for the person addicted and the ones who love them. Yes. And that's where the addiction problem is. And why I say all addictions are bad. Because in one way or another, you're not only hurting yourself, but you hurt the people around you. And it doesn't matter what kind of addiction you have. So in loving memory of every family member and friend who has lost their battle with addiction, and those who continue to conquer it, keep those in your prayers. Put this on your page, and this is where the copy paste thing goes. I don't share them. All right, addiction. Addiction in general is anytime you always have to have something. Okay, I know this isn't the dictionary version of it. It goes into a lot better description, but basically it's where no matter what, you have to do it or have it. It doesn't have to be a consumption. It's also a lifestyle. It is also things you do, and it's also things they may not consume in your body, but maybe put on you or do. Okay, and there are many, many forms of addiction, and in the root of it all, they're all the same. Okay. And you have people who are addicted to sex. Okay, and it is bad to be addicted to sex. Okay, sex in itself is not bad, but it's bad to be addicted to it. You have addicted to, and one that I think is the most common one is food addiction. And this is the one I have, and particularly carbohydrates, refined carbohydrates. That's the one I had, and I'll go more detail on that. And then you of course have the drugs, alcohol, which is the one that's criticized most by society, and there is also more help for that, which is good. But the other addictions are a lot harder because of the fact that the help ain't out there like they are the other ones. And all addiction is bad because you also have people who are what we like to call fitness addicts, and things like that. People who are addicted to working out. People who are addicted to work. That there is also bad. You have people who are addicted to many things. I mean, you can go into a lot of variety of things. Now, the one I was that I am still addicted to is refined carbohydrates. And I'm going to go into that because to me, I think I don't have no proof of it, but just looking around, I think this is the one that most people are addicted to. And that is, I lost my train of thought. And that is destructive, for both the person and the people around them. But yet, it's one that seems to be socially acceptable, But with refined carbohydrates, your sugars, your things like that, you could get type 2 diabetes, which I do have. However, I was able to reverse my type 2 diabetes. I was very fortunate in the fact that I caught it early enough, but it did. I wanted to deny it at first, but it was that it was full diabetes, and I can tell that because there are a lot of things problems I have that tell me that I did have diabetes. The numbing of the legs, the feet, and things like that. Anytime I do end up caving in and having something that's high in carbs. But in my, I didn't want to go on any kind of medication. I stayed away from the insulin. My doctor told me that he wanted me to go, take insulin, but I refused. I wanted to do it through a diet, which I've seen other people do, fortunately. So I knew there was a way to reverse it. So I took that challenge to do that. And let me tell you something, it was very difficult. It was. I won't lie to you. And here's the thing. I've done drugs. I've done marijuana, I've done cocaine, I've done speed. But I was able to give it up real easily. I've smoked, I've vaped with very high nicotine. But I was able to give all that up. I no longer vape. I gave up smoking quite a while back. And same thing with the drugs. I used to get plastered every weekend. I mean, literally, I spent my whole paycheck on alcohol every weekend. And but I was able to give that up. Not an issue. And myself, and I know a lot of people would say, wow, you don't get addicted to anything. And I used to think that. I really did. I used to think that I was invincible when it came to addiction. Well, I got humbled when I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I thought it was going to be easy. I did, because again, I had that mentality that there were people who don't get addicted to anything. And it turns out that is wrong. There might be some people who might not get addicted to anything, but I find it hard to believe. And I think that if we really search inside of us and really take an honest look to ourselves, there is something that everyone is addicted to. It's just different for everybody. And also we have to look beyond what society says is acceptable and what society says is not. I'm going to tell you that any addiction at all is unacceptable. And here's the reason why, is because of the fact that if you have to have something, even if it's going to kill you, even if it's destroying your life, your marriage, your anything, then it is bad if you can't give it up, and that there shows addiction. And that's what woke me up to the fact that I was addicted to high carbs, is because even today I am tempted, and I'm like, I know this stuff is killing me, I know it, I have to avoid high carbs, otherwise, I'm going to end up with lots of other problems, which does lead to death. People do die from diabetes, unfortunately, and to make it worse, I've seen people with diabetes and continue eating the carbs and stuff, and seen what happened to them. I've had very good friends pass away, you know, due to diabetes, you know. So it's addiction of any type is bad. Even the health nuts, as we call them, even the because of the fact that, you know, when you go so far to where it really messes up, you know, friendships, families, and things like that. And if you can't give it up, I don't say don't be healthy anymore, but you know, if you're to the extreme, that can be a problem also. Another thing is some of these addictions, like, you know, the people who are big into health and stuff like that, they often end up alienating themselves simply because of the fact that they judge others, because they think they've overcome, you know, an unhealthy lifestyle, not really realizing they went from one extreme to the other. And then that can often isolate you from other people. And what causes addiction? What is addiction? Because earlier I said that addiction is not a disease. It's not a forget the other word, but not a anyway, it's not a disease or anything like that. What it is, it's a flaw in our human nature that we all have. Okay, and what it is that something in our brain, we have a trigger where certain things give us pleasure. Okay, in the case of food addictions, for instance, no longer is food consumed for survival and health. Rather, you know, it's for pleasure, and that's where the problem comes in. You do something, consume something, or, you know, start doing things to your body. You got people who are addicted to their looks, you know, and things like that. And suddenly, your brain's like, oh, I love this, and then it puts out these chemicals that, you know, make it to where it's such a joy to you. You love it. You can't stop it, you know. And that's what addiction it does. Okay. And therefore, you know, it consumes your whole life, you know, because you want to do it. Addicted to TV, addicted to money. You need more money. You may not even spend it all, but you're addicted to it. You want it all. And sometimes this can happen because of the fact that something happened in your past to there. Now, you know, you're addicted to it because you feel like you do need it. But it doesn't even have to be that, you know. Me, addicted to carbs. I mean, what caused that, right? Nothing. I can't blame anybody for it, you know. It's just something that I enjoyed, and, you know, I loved my pasta. Oh, lasagna. Oh, good, you know. The pasta was a big one. And that's what does it. Okay. So, why am I explaining all this? Okay, first of all, okay, understand that if you have an addiction, you need help. You can't overcome addiction on your own. You have to accept help. And what this requires is that you lay down your human ego, another flaw in humans, and you accept when people tell you, you know, that you need help, you know. And yeah, people might give you suggestions and stuff like that, which might not work for you. And that's another thing with addiction, is everybody has to do, it's different for everybody. But you still need that help from other people, that support, you know, to go out and find out what works for you. Okay, because not everyone can be cured the same way of addiction, and really there is no cure. Like I say, you're gonna have it forever. It's always going to be a temptation. Okay. And And that's one of the things that helped me. I have a very close friend who's stuck by me. Also had a wife. My wife also stuck by me in it. My wife always looked out for all kinds of recipes and stuff like that, which helped. The other thing I did is I knew that one of the tricks is to avoid the temptation. And so, you know, for the most part, I stayed away from strolling around the stores and convenience stores and stuff like that. Okay, I cooked in the truck, which I still do. But the other thing is, you know, even if you don't realize you have an addiction, if you have not found out what your addiction is, don't criticize other people who are addicted to something. And this goes a lot with, like, you know, the food addictions and stuff like that, because a lot of people don't understand that foods can be an addiction. Okay, carbs are addictive. Our bodies actually, carbs burn quicker. It's a quick energy. So our bodies actually crave that easy energy, whereas, you know, the burn protein for energy is a lot tougher for our bodies. So our bodies kind of get weak, and that's why the carbs, you know, are addictive. Plus, our brains do operate on carbs, and that's one of the things I do want to clarify, because people think when I talk low carbs that I'm talking about no carbs. That's not true. Your body does need carbs, so you're not giving up carbs all the time, altogether. In my case, I have to go very low carbs because of type 2 diabetes. But for the normal person, they can, you know, unless you go on the keto and stuff like that, they can consume some natural carbs. But if you have not discovered what your, I know I wander around a lot. If you have not discovered what you're addicted to, and you think you're invincible, number one, realize you're not. But number two, don't criticize others. Like I said, you know, when it comes to food addictions, people get criticized a lot that are addicted to foods. They actually, I'd say that they're probably get more ridiculed than drugs and alcohol, because a lot of people don't realize that is an addiction. Okay, so if you see somebody who's addicted to, you know, unhealthy foods and stuff like that, don't criticize them. Okay, don't look down on them. Realize, you know, that they have a weakness, you know, that they need help. But it takes a lot for us to humble ourselves into asking for that help, or realizing that we have an addiction. It takes a lot, okay? In fact, I bet most of you who are watching this video probably have an addiction and don't want to see it, okay? What's my challenge for you all? Now, there is a difference between addiction and just enjoying something, okay? If you just enjoy something, you can give it up, okay? Because it's just something you like doing, but yet you don't need to, okay? Find something that you really enjoy. In fact, I'd actually challenge everyone into going into, you know, to try a keto, paleo, or primal diet for 30 days. Because I bet you most people would not pass that. But find anything that you really enjoy, something you want every single day. And then be honest with yourself. You don't have to post it. You don't have to tell anyone that you failed, okay? Just do it for yourself. What I call being humble, you know. And try to give it up for 30 days. Alright? And be honest, okay? Be honest to yourself. Because this is all this is. Just for your own information. If you can't give it up for 30 days, then that does say that you're addicted to it. Now it's up to you on whether you want to give up that addiction. You know, that's for each one of us to decide. But at least humble yourself into realizing that we're all addicted, and therefore when we see someone who's addicted to something, understand it. Okay, understand it. It is a very difficult thing. Lives are destroyed from addictions, and it's not something to be really looking at the person as a bad person or stupid or anything like that. Addictions are extremely difficult to give up. Y'all take care. God bless.